Welcome, and thank you for tuning in for this first episode of Spotlight on Community Giving. With this show, we hope to feature local nonprofits who are doing transformative work in our community, as well as the donors who help make this work possible. My name is LZ Nunn, and I'll be your host for this show, and I serve as the Director of Development for the Greater Lowell Community Foundation. Today, we're really lucky to be joined by Steve Joncas of Joncas Associates and the president of the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, as well as Ray Riddick, who's the executive director of the foundation. Thank you both for being on with us today.
Our pleasure.
Thank you. And Steve, can you tell us a little bit about Greater Lowell Community Foundation and the role it plays for our community?
Well, the foundation actually began in 1998. There were a group of community leaders, people like George Duncan and Richard Donahue, Mary Jo Leahy, and others, including the Parker Foundation, who felt that there was a need to address community needs in a better fashion in Lowell and Greater Lowell, the communities that we serve. They knew that there were people who had a spirit of generosity. They knew that there were organizations who were looking to improve the quality of life in our area. And they felt that it would enhance their efforts if we brought donors and philanthropic organizations and nonprofit organizations together with the resources that were necessary in order to do a better job. The idea was to try to foster efforts to keep wealth within the community so that it could do more good in the community. The foundation vision really came to fruition since 1998. The foundation has grown to some $23 million in assets, quite a considerable achievement. Much of that is due to the support that we receive from donors. There are different funds that the foundation manages on behalf of those donors. Many of the endowed funds are donor advised, so they're geared towards meeting specific needs in the fields of education or the arts or social needs. And the foundation also has funding which it distributes depending upon what the needs are in the community. And we work with nonprofits and with volunteers in helping us make the decisions about how those funds should be distributed. Since its inception, we've awarded something in the range of $6.5 million
Wow.
in grants.
Wow.
So
It's quite an impact.
it is quite an impact, and those obviously range in size, but we think that they've had a very beneficial impact in terms of improving the community. The foundation is managed by a board of directors. The board is made up of a number of representatives from the community. We have accountants, attorneys, representatives of financial institutions. There's a broad spectrum, if you will, of expertise and capability. Our charge is to develop policies and procedures for the foundation, and obviously to seek to grow the foundation in terms of its asset base. So if you see me knocking on your door, it may be to ask for a contribution on behalf of the foundation. And it's our job, too, to oversee the staff and their implementation of the various programs and policies and procedures that have been adopted by the board. Our service area consists of some 25 communities. If you think about the Merrimack Valley, the Neshoba Valley, and actually the Concord River sort of Route 3 corridor. That's our area where we're focused. And our goal is to reach out and enhance our footprint in those communities so that we can do more good. So that's one of the tasks that actually you and Ray have as part of your agenda. We have, let's see, a grant-making process. Again, we're trying to encourage volunteerism and participation in the notion of giving. So in addition to the board's role in the grant-making process, we have a group of volunteers that we would call the distribution committee. We solicit proposals from area nonprofits. The distribution committee meets and evaluates each of those proposals. If you make the first cut, you're invited to submit a more formal, more complete proposal on your idea. And those are all scored and ranked by these volunteers, and they make recommendations to the board, and it's our responsibility to our donors to make the final decisions. We also sponsor events. The notion of convening people is a very important part of our mission. Each year we sponsor something called Celebrate Giving, and that normally consists of having a keynote speaker who talks about the value of philanthropy, why it's important in the community, how people can be engaged. And we also celebrate the nonprofits who do so much good in the communities that we serve. Obviously, we're in tough economic times right now, and we see the demand and the need for philanthropy growing. If you think about the impacts of high unemployment, it really can put a stress on families and put a stress on the community. So we're all working very hard in order to do whatever we can to make a contribution, large or small, towards making improvements.
Yeah, and Steve, you bring up a great point, which is it takes not just an incredible amount of volunteerism and really engaged community members, but also some donors who have vision and insight in the community. And I think what the foundation seems to be able to provide, and has provided for almost 15 years, is that resource and helping bridge that gap. And I'd be really curious, Ray, as our new, can you really call, almost a year now you've been our director at the foundation.
Right, almost a year, about 11 months, and it's been a challenge every day, and it's been probably the most fulfilling job I've ever had in my life. So it's been a wonderful experience so far.
It's really illuminating to get to see so many different elements of the community, and we do have a region with a wide array of assets, whether it's a vibrant arts community, rich environmental resources, educational programs, youth development, social services, community and economic development. I mean, there's a huge array of incredible organizations that are making an impact, and GLCF really responds to this impact through proactive grants, obviously our donor-advised funds, designated funds, field of interest, and also capacity building grants, which are so critical to our needs. But Ray, you've got a lot on deck for 2012. You have a really robust, area of work ahead, and I'd be curious to know, what do you think is the critical value of having the foundation here in our community?
Well, I think the great value of any community foundation, and certainly the Greater Lowell Community Foundation, is it acts as a bridge between the nonprofit world, the demands of the nonprofit world, and as Steve pointed out, things are tough out there. These are tough economic times we live in, and we serve as a bridge between them and the donors that have been so generous as to build our endowment. So our value added is to provide the knowledge to our donors about where are the critical needs in the community, where are the people that really need the money, and we work with all of our donors in this way. So it's a very challenge in that respect, but it's also very fulfilling because we're able to answer those needs in a very quick turnaround.
It's important to be able to respond and to make the impact exactly when it's needed. And we've seen that through so many of the family funds with the foundation that can
Sure.
respond to issues with hunger and homelessness, with issues around environmental cleanups, with issues around youth development. All of those really direct service needs are met in part through grants from the foundation.
Absolutely. And this year we'll give approximately $1 million out in grants
Wow.
to nonprofit organizations as well as to scholars, worthy scholars. We have a very strong scholarship fund with Lowell High School, but also with Greater Lowell Regional Vocational Technical School, with Chelmsford High School, with Lowell Catholic. So we're able to support the educational organizations in our community, and we're very proud of that fact. In fact, last Tuesday night, we gave out approximately $200,000 in scholarships to Lowell High School, deserving Lowell High School students, and again, very, very proud of that fact.
If I could just add, I mean, that's a great example of how individuals can make a difference. Peter Stamus, who was the headmaster of the high school, and his successor, Bill Samaras, each felt that scholarships would be a way to encourage young people to do well, to really value education, and a way for donors to acknowledge the accomplishments and the achievements of young people. So the scholarship program has, 150 donors, I think, at this point.
Right.
And we manage some $3.5 million that those donors have contributed to their various scholarship funds. And that's where that $200,000 comes from, the proceeds from those investments. And again, it just shows you the power of two individuals having an idea and investing the time, the effort, the energy in order to bring that idea to fruition. Right. It's a great example.
And a long-term vision is so important to that. And I think, Ray, I'm being told we're about to go on break, but in terms of this next year, in terms of, there's there's the long-term vision, and then there's what we get to do this year to make the impact. So tell us a couple of programs coming up that people should look out for.
We have some terrific programs that we've implemented, or we're putting in place even as we speak. One of them is for our young professionals. There's a next generation giving circle that we've created for professionals in their 20s and 30s. We've already started to meet with those people. They would like to set up a fund so that they can begin their philanthropic journey that hopefully will last throughout their entire lives. We're doing a bike-a-thon September 22nd in conjunction with Riverfest with the City of Lowell, and that's designed to help nonprofits in the area raise money. We'll have a registration fee that we'll be involved in, that we'll collect, but any pledges that are gained by these nonprofit organizations will be kept by the organization. So it's an opportunity for small, medium-sized nonprofits who don't have the resources to have their own fundraiser to participate in this one. And so we're trying to empower them to make some money for their organizations. And we've had a lot of very positive feedback on that. It's going to be a bike-a-thon, a modest one, not a competitive one, but a friendly one. So those are the kinds of things that we're involved in. We're also always looking for volunteers to help us out in the organization. We have a great group of volunteers, over 100 people that volunteer right now. And if anyone out there would like to help us volunteer, please contact the GLCF office, and we'll line you up with an appropriate program that you have interest in.
And people can find out more about this through going on our website, www.glcfoundation.org.
Yes.
Or just give us a call, 978-970-1600. We look forward to bringing you back in a few minutes for our next guests.
Greater Lowell Community Foundation presents the first annual River Ride. Bike-a-thon, Saturday, September 22nd. Bikeathon starts at 10 a.m. Family ride 10:30. Location, Davidson Street parking lot. Registration begins June 1st. $50 per rider, includes goodie bag. Teams encouraged to sign up early. Suggested minimum rider pledge, $100. Family ride registration, $25 per family. Questions? Email info@glcfoundation.org.
Arrival of Summer marks the beginning of the Concord Band's 27th season of weekly outdoor concerts at Fruitlands Museum in the town of Harvard, Massachusetts. The museum's hillside provides a natural amphitheater, a great place to listen to the exciting programs that Concord Band music director James Odell has scheduled for the coming summer. Arrive as early as 6 p.m. to enjoy a pre-concert picnic. When the weather is ideal, you'll be in the company of as many as 2,000 area music lovers to hear the finest in concert band music, as well as music from the stage and screen. The piece you were listening to, Fruitlands Overture, was written by the Concord Band's music director emeritus, Dr. William McManus, to commemorate the band's silver anniversary at Fruitlands in 2010. Your parking fee supports both Fruitlands Museum and the Concord Band, so fill your vehicle with family and friends and join us at Fruitlands Museum this summer, beginning on June 21st. Bring a picnic or take advantage of the food and refreshments available at Fruitlands. For more information, please visit our website.
Welcome back to Spotlight on Community Giving. My name is LZ Nunn. I'm the host of the show, and today we have a fabulous second round of guests. Challenge Unlimited and Ironstone Farms in Andover provides therapeutic recreational opportunities using horses and a working farm. Now, if that isn't great, I mean, that's a fabulous mission. They achieve optimum quality of life for all of their participants in the program. After 40 years of leadership and vision, Dick Donovan, who was the founder, is also working now with executive director for many years, Dee Dee O'Brien. And we are really, really lucky to have with us today Dee Dee O'Brien, executive director at Ironstone, and Ziggy Burns, the chair of Ironstone Farms Advisory Council. Thank you for coming on the show today.
Thank you for having us.
Tell us a little bit about your work, Dee Dee, and how you became involved with the Greater Lowell Community Foundation.
Well, Ironstone Farm, I've been with Ironstone Farm since the 70s, so I was actually only 4. Only kidding. But we provide therapy, as you said, for people with disabilities. We right now are providing therapy we have about 500 people a week that come through the program, and about 75% of those are people with diagnosed disabilities. And we do that with the help of over 200 volunteers a week. Last year we logged in over 11,000 volunteer hours.
It's incredible.
So we depend heavily on volunteers. We became involved with the Lowell Community Foundation in 1999, and at that time we were looking into being able to create the farm so that it would go on forever. It was owned by the Donovan family, and with their help and the help of a few other people, we launched a campaign to buy the farm. We were going to either buy the farm or buy the farm. So we launched that campaign in 1999 and came to speak with the Lowell Community Foundation for help, advice, and how we could set things up so that it would go on forever. And the Community Foundation has been a great asset for us, fabulous asset. We're one of those grant recipients over the years, and gratefully. And those were capacity grants, which every nonprofit knows that capacity is hugely important, and it's hard to get funding for. And also for advice. And shortly after we became involved, we were fortunate enough to be able to start a small fund at the foundation. One of the things that we realized was that we needed to think about the future, as well as the present. And we didn't have much money, but we were able to put a little aside so that we could plant that seed and be able to start that fund growing. So that was the beginning of our relationship with the foundation, and it's been wonderful ever since.
Well, and you have a really interesting approach, Dee Dee, because you've really focused on innovation and how in the nonprofit sector, especially in tough economic times, we have to continually think, how can we innovate? How can we bring new ideas? And whether it's certain elements of a for-profit business model or generating new revenues. And you've come up with a really creative solution to helping kind of bridge that gap that seems to happen every year with Ironstone Farms, and also get your board really involved in giving and giving back. So I'd be curious to hear a little more about that.
Great. We suffered like everyone did in this economy. And we bought the farm in 2001. We immediately went into a financial slump, and we had to find ways to bridge that gap, as you said. And we no longer had a benevolent landlord. We had a bank, albeit a wonderful bank, and we needed to find ways to meet that mortgage and to meet payroll. And as the program grew, which it has continually done, our staff grew, and so the financial side of it has been challenging, and it's been a huge learning experience, because for the first 10 years it was a learn as we go. It still is a learn as we go, always will be. But 3 years ago, we hit the winter time during this financial downturn, and we every year in the wintertime we suffer we suffer a shortfall, and so we needed to borrow money, as we always have in the wintertime. But we got the help of an individual who came in and advised our board to start a fund to put aside that we could go to for that cushion that we needed when we had payroll in or mortgage in and we didn't have enough money in the bank. And I know that every nonprofit goes through this. Every nonprofit suffers with that payroll that is coming the next day, and there's $2,000 in the bank and there's a $20,000 payroll, and it happens. It happens to us, it happens to everybody. And it's a sleep loser, and it happens over and over again. And so we needed to address this. We in the past have borrowed from Peter to pay Paul, or we've had to take out a line of credit in order to get through the winter months. And in order to fix this problem, we had an individual that advised our board to try and give or get or raise so much each that we could put into a separate fund, separate bank account, that we would be able to draw a certain amount on when we hit that time. And they did it. Our board did it. They rose to the occasion. Some of them raised it, some of them gave it, some of them got others to give it, but they did it, and it was just board money. It wasn't a fundraiser. It wasn't going to the public. It was just board money that we were able to put into an account. And we've drawn on. In the beginning, I was restricted. I was told to only borrow so much a week, and I if I let 3 weeks go by, I could buy 3 weeks worth. And but I did it, and now I have that leeway that I can borrow more if I need to meet the payroll. And so it's worked. And this is the first year that we have not had to go for a line of credit in the wintertime.
Congratulations.
And this is not a good year.
Yeah.
So I tip my hat to our board, because they're all hardworking people. They're not, a wealthy board, but they found a way. And you know what one of the impetuses was? One of the impetuses was that 2 years ago when we started this, we had 3 runners in the marathon. They were running the marathon for us. We got 3 numbers. We were fortunate. And what they said was, if they can raise that $4,000 for the marathon, and these are hardworking people that have no resources, other than their work, then we can do it. And so they did it, and it was a great experience. And now we have this fund, and so we don't lose sleep, when we come to that time that still happens. We don't lose sleep over it.
What I think is so valuable about this story about the board advisory fund.
And we call it the Board Support Fund.
Board Support Fund is that you really directly engage your board members, and your board responded in kind. And you not only have a board of directors, you also have an incredible advisory committee, of which Ziggy is a part of.
Yes.
And I'd be curious to see, advisory committees and associate boards are such a great way to involve a different subset who may not have to have that commitment of attending meetings every month and the same sort of fiscal oversights as the board of directors. But I'd be curious to see, how does your advisory council work, Ziggy? And
Well, we try to come up with ideas to support the board. And so we have an awful lot of people that come in, they join. We invite everyone to come. As chairman of the board, I have to say we start with this lady, because I believe in any kind of an organization, it starts at the top and it filters down. We have all the advisory board members are all so important to the regular board of directors. My case is a little different because I also am a client. I ride every Tuesday. I see the incredible joy and happiness that's brought to the, I'm going to get emotional in a minute, but if you go down there and you see these kids, and if when Dee Dee says 75% of them are all special needs kids that come down, you put them on a horse, and I don't think anyone understands the relationship, but I've seen it. I've seen the parents drop the kids off and they get on the horse, and they develop a relationship, and then every time they're walking, they're strengthening their legs. And it's just a wonderful, wonderful thing. So the advisory board, we're very active. We were kind of sluggish for a while, but we meet regularly. We try to supplement and give ideas to the main board. We work in conjunction with the board of directors. So it's just, I could talk forever about Ironstone Farm. I've been involved for about 15 years, and I was honored to be the honoree a couple of years, and Mr. Riddick was the one that introduced me at that event. So I'm pleased, and I know that the Great Lowell Community Foundation has just been so great and means so much to Ironstone for what you've done.
And Dee Dee, I think we've also had a lot of conversations in terms of, that capacity growth, that whether it's an advisory council or a board is involved with. But I like your approach where we've talked a lot about how nonprofits can help build each other's capacity and be resources for each other. So I'm curious to see a little bit more about, the ways you see that might work, and also what you have on deck for exciting programs with Ironstone.
Well, collaboration is the key to success, I believe firmly. We collaborate with, or are affiliated with, about 40 other nonprofits in one way or another. Through getting volunteers, our client base, a lot of us serve, the same population, and the population, can be served in different ways from different organizations. And if we work together and we plan together, then we can have much more of an impact, rather than all working separately. So I think that that's very important. As far as the future goes, we made it to this year where we didn't have to borrow the money for the winter, but we need to look at sustainability. Sustainability is so important, and we need to look at that for the future. And so we're doing that now. We're putting together a plan, a long-term plan, that strategic planning. It took me 10 years to figure out what strategic planning actually meant. It took me 10 years to figure out what a board actually meant. And then there was that budget thing. So we all go through it.
The learning curve.
It's a learning curve.
Forever.
It's a huge learning curve. But yes, we're doing that strategic planning now, and trying to put plans in so that the facility is always maintained. We always have that funding to do that, and so that we can plan for the future. We have a lot of new programs. We're now working with people with cancer. It's been a wonderful program for a couple of years. Now we're working with children with cancer, and branching out to working with children who have severe behavior disorder, and all of those are new programs in the last 2 or 3 years, which has been great. It's amazing the power of the horse.
Yeah, well, it's powerful work that you do. And any of our viewers who are interested in learning more about Ironstone Farms or getting what I've got recently, which was an incredible tour of your facility, please do contact Ironstone Farms. And your website is?
www.challengeunlimited.org.
Fabulous. Well, Dee Dee and Ziggy, thank you so much for joining us on this inaugural show of Spotlight on Community Giving. And thank you for telling us a little bit about the incredible work that you do at Ironstone Farms. And to our viewers, thank you for watching and tuning in. And don't hesitate to contact GLCF if you'd like to learn more about our programs, to get involved, to become a donor or to maybe sign up a team for our upcoming bike-a-thon on September 22nd. You can contact us at 978-970-1600 or log on to our website, www.glcfoundation.org. Thank you, and join us next time.